Well, hello my friends. Today is not going to be a wood turning, but it will be a wood lathe improvement. Now what I'm going to be doing is nothing new as far as you being able to get one. Making one might be a different story. So I'm going to show you. But let me back up a little bit. My hollowing lately has been getting deeper and deeper and making it very hard for me to be able to reach deep in there to do a thorough job and safely. So today's project is going to be making a deep hollow. Now, like I said, the design is not mine. The material I'm using is I'm improvising and picking up wherever I could locally. No welding necessary. So I went to Home Depot and picked up everything that I thought I needed, including nuts and bolts, and came up to $41.98. That's the total. So I'm going to see how that works out and take you along and see what I'm doing, show you what I'm doing, in order for you to be able to make your own if you so wish to. It's a swing arm type of setup. There's many different styles. I considered doing the two bars in the back and putting my tool in between, but it still limits me because I'm still going to need a long bar, L bracket, and with that style I figured that I probably would need to resort with some welding or some tees and do it around pipe, and I didn't want to do that. So I think I'm going to make something that, like I said, I've seen, and I think it's going to make a nice piece. Nuts and bolts, a couple of nylon threaded, nylon lock nuts, just in case I need those. A couple of stainless steel sink head screws, a bevel head, and I also picked up a couple of 1/4 20, actually 5/16 by number 18 Allen screws, Allen set screws. So with that I picked up one bar, 24-inch square tubing, an inch diameter. Picked up an inch diameter, 1/4 inch, 24-inch length, flat stock. Picked up one 1/2 inch, and actually these are 36 inches, I apologize. All these that I've been showing you, they're 36 inches length. One 36-inch length, 1/2 inch round bar, and a 36-inch tube. I will be using very little of this, and I will show you what all of these components are for. First thing I want to do is I want to cut these down to length. And I think, let me see, 12 inches should be long enough to make my arm. I will need one of these square tubes 12 inches long and two of these flat bars 12 inches long, and then one other piece of this tubular, square tubular, maybe 6 inches in length. So let's get started. Got my angle grinder here, ready to go, and I'm going to cut two of these 12 inches. Now with that done, I will take it to my disc sander and just round over the edges slightly. So here's my two arms. Like I said, slightly rounded over. I gotta cut one of these as well, 12 inches long. I want about 6 inches left. So for now, I got a 12-inch length, roughly 6 inches. It doesn't have to be exact, and the two 12-inch rods. Now, because this tubular is not as strong as what I would want it to be, what I want to do is I want to stuff it up with a piece of wood on both of these to make this solid, and also to go to the next step. Okay, so the first arm is set up and it's stuffed with a solid piece of wood in there. It's only pine, but the fit is really snug. Pounded it in and then trued it up on the sander as well. The next step is to drill a hole for this arm to go, one on the top and one on the bottom like this. And I'll find the center point of this right here, and what I want to drill it to the size is of the hollow rod that I got. The rod will go through, all the way through, just passing up the top and the bottom of this. So once I tighten it up, it will tighten up on this, and this will make a bushing, a swivel bushing. I'll need two of those holes, one for here and one for the bottom side as well. On the flat steel, when you're lining them up, there's a flat part and a slightly rounded over, which is from the machine when it was rolled. So put the flat part with flat part against your channel, and this pipe, I need two of them, cut, like I said, about a 32nd of an inch over the whole length on that, and that will be for bushings. I need two of these, and that's pretty much all I need this rod for. These arms and start doing some assembly, pretty much. to the grinder and just flatten that down a little bit more than that. Take it down a little bit. I brought some washers, but I don't think I need the washers. And I bought the nylon thread, but I'm just going to put this up temporary and see how it goes. This should move freely even after tightening this up. So here it is. And it does move pretty free. So now I'm going to do the same thing for this side right here. Got to drill it and put the bolts through it. Another bolt. And this will give me a full range of this arm movement. So time to drill this up one more time. Basically just going to do the same thing I just did on those holes. Now I don't have the wood on this one, so I'm going to stuff this up with another piece of wood. So I took off the burrs from the cut on the edge over there to make it easier. You can stick it in on one side and then line it up with the other. And we'll do the same thing as far as trimming it. I need it to be perfectly flush with the top and the bottom. So just going to shave that. And I have to figure out is what to do with this back section over here. This back section basically is going to be sitting on my banjo or a plate of some sort where it will hold this at the same height, center line, as my live center. So I will do that next. The way I was thinking, and it doesn't work for this particular banjo, and I don't have another one, and I don't want to make a specific plate, is that I would be using this pipe over here and put an insert, tap it, and where's my 5/8 rod? I do have a 5/8 rod. Or I could tap it and put one of these bolts through here as well on one of the sleeves, and this would be my arm on a tool post. I could do this with a larger hole and actually sneak that through this and open this up to fit into this pipe, which this is a very rigid pipe, and that will work. This is cast. It will be fairly easy for me to tap it out into this size. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, is to modify this and make this work with that pipe and make that pipe work into the arm system. Now, I gotta cut this pipe. Seeing that I got it in there, and I'm gonna utilize this pipe for what I want it to do. So this will sit on my bedway, and this will be smack center with my steady rest, with my live center. So this end also ends up being exactly the same height. So when I look at this, the height that I need for this to sit on is right here. Now, I think I'm going to drill okay, so that's the whole arm system. Alright, I still got to tighten that up. I don't have the right wrench over here for that big nut, but this will swivel here, here, and here, and I should be able to get a nice control coming in into the piece. I'm going to drill this up over here for my tool rod, which is what that 3/8 that I brought. Rod is for that. Tap it so it locks it up and put some sort of a cutter. I might do something like my bent cutter, because I'm going to rely a lot on hollow vessels, and that's what the whole idea behind this is, to make one up where I can go into these longer, deeper, and smaller opening vessels as my wood turning. That's it for today. Be back later. Well, hello my friends. This is a continuance of my arm for my deep hollow. Even though the arm is somewhat straightforward depending on your configuration on what you want to do, but there are some thoughts that I had to go through, and while I was inside the house I was trying to figure out exactly what is it that I wanted to do in order to finish this and make it work for what I need. And my needs might be different from yours. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to create small opening hollow vessels. And when you have a small opening hollow vessel, you don't have the means to be able to put a tool rest inside to support the end of your cutter. So you are relying on that small opening and a long extension to wherever depthness is of your vessel. The design of your hook involves, what should I say, the results of how you make your tip determine how far in you're going to be able to get into the shoulders of the piece that you did. So last night I was playing with different ideas of what was it that I wanted to do. Alright, so this is your typical curved hook. This hook right here is probably the one that gives me the closest to come out to the shoulder on something, because you have that span over there that even if the hole is fairly small, depending on where you swivel this, or the arm, the backside of it, will determine how close you get. I was playing with different ideas on what I wanted to do if I went with a different design other than this. Preset holes, well, they're preset. This type of an angle on a straight shaft, and you are achieving a cutter like this, those are fine, and I kind of like this idea. But there's drawbacks to them. Again, and that is how far you can get into the shoulder of your thing. Yes, you can come in very tight into the opening, probably tighter than you can with this, but you are limited only by the space that you got here. as far as how far you're going to be able to get into the shoulder, especially if the hole is fairly small, just a little bit bigger than your shaft. Then as soon as you start turning it, you start rubbing on the back side of the shaft. So what I'm thinking of doing is probably a combination of this right here and a swivel point maybe here or here, and where I can rotate this arm to be even tighter of a radius than what's over here. So I think that's the direction I'm going to go, which is a little bit thicker than the hooked tool that I have. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to bring this outside, heat it up, make the bends, and then go through the cutting process. I will keep it this long for now, so I have the leverage of the full bar to make the bends I need on the vise, and my vise is out there. So I'll be back in a minute. So I've done my bend to where I want. This will take the cutter head on this point. Like I said, whether if I do an insert or carbide, the insert, I kind of like that idea. So I'm going to play with that idea for a little bit. But before I do that, and before this completely cools off, I want to just make sure that this line is parallel to each other, making sure that I got a straight line over there. Okay, so I have to decide how long to make my arm. I wanted to bury in pretty deep into this bracket here, but I figured that nothing that I'm ever going to turn is going to be over 10 inches deep. So I'm going to cut this right about here, making it a total of 18 inches or 17 inches, and exposed will be about 12. So let me see, I can cut that at 16. Be right back with this cut. 16 inches. So tapered it, and I put some grip lines on this, so once I put this in, it's not going to be giving me any type of trouble as far as holding it up. And here's the rod. So, and I can lock this up with a set screw to make sure that this does not spin with pressure at a later time. Make sure that you place your bar facing in the right direction. So when you're doing hollowing and you're going in there, you're pulling it in from into the correct shoulder. Now, this of course can be slightly adjusted to the height, and this will give me a good control without my arm going up and down on the back side of this. This should take most of the shock from the piece and giving me enough resistance where I think it will work pretty well. You know, I think on this case I'm just going to put the carbide round cutter on this and shape it for that. The reason for is one less area of movement on the piece for me. This over here, the cut idea, I'm afraid that it's would weaken up this point over here, and putting a set bit, well, you know, I don't think that's going to do it for me. So I'm going to cut this up to accept a round cut. So I got I think a 10mm round cutter, and that will fit in there just nice. Then I will shape the bottom to what I need it to do, and shave up the top a little bit. I think that will be good. This would make a good point for you to set up a bracket with an L channel, and if you wanted to set up a laser on this type of a setup. Me, I don't want to set up a laser, but if I did, that would be a perfect opportunity to put another one back here and then tighten it up, and you would have yourself a really nice setup with a laser and all. That is the center point right there. So it puts up a little bit of tension so the tool sits tight against the tool rest, and I think the rest is really do a test and see what kind of a system I got here. Okay. For testing purposes, I think this will do. And start going in there and see what I can do. Well, a good idea. This does not alleviate you from using the proper precautions. I should be using still my steady rest, which has nothing to do with the usage of this this arm. The steady rest is only to stabilize your work. And I will try to get it in an area that is somewhat round. So that's about as small of an opening as I can possibly get with this particular piece. But the advantage to this is that I can still come out from out here to get started and not be restricted by the crossbar. This does not restrict me from a crossbar on how far over I can swing the handle of the tool. So let's get started. Speed it up a little bit. Take a little bit of getting used to it on where the anchor points are whatsoever, and would have made it 100% perfect. But as a prototype, for right now, I think it's all there. The concept is there, the design is there. Now, if you want to do something like this, it's up to you to do the modifications, all the small changes that you see fit to make it the way you would want it to be. And you can say that this was not, per se, something that you would want to do because of the workmanship that I did. Well, that's up to you. Again, this was not showing you the best possible way of doing it. It was showing you that you can do it. You can do something that really is going to work the way you need it. At this point, I still could go over here and tweak it a little bit and really make it perfect. But you get the point. Hey, thanks for watching. Have fun and enjoy your new hollowing arm. I think it's a great feature. I think that it's something that everybody who's doing hollow vessels should or buy one. I like making my own stuff. And it's not that I couldn't afford $200 at this point to throw into one. It's the matter that I think it's a lot more satisfaction when you make it and it works than it is to actually buy it. That's my opinion. And we're all entitled to one. It's a great world. Take care. See you next time.